Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. The Sopranos. The Sopranos is an American crime drama television series created by David Chase. The story revolves around the fictional character, New Jersey-based Italian-American mobster Tony Soprano. The series portrays the difficulties he faces as he tries to balance the conflicting requirements of his home life and his criminal organization. These are often highlighted during his therapy sessions with psychiatrist Jennifer Melfi. The series features Tony's family members, mafia colleagues and rivals, in prominent roles and story arcs, most notably his wife Carmela and protege Christopher Maltese. After the pilot was ordered in 1997, the show premiered on the premium cable network HBO in the United States on January 10, 1999, and ran its 6 seasons with 86 episodes to June 10, 2007. The series then went through syndication, and has been broadcast on A&E in the United States and internationally. The Sopranos was produced by HBO, Chase Films, and Brad Gray Television. It was primarily filmed at Silver Cup Studios, New York City, and on location in New Jersey. The executive producers throughout the show's run were David Chase, Brad Gray, Robin Green, Mitchell Burgess, Eileen S. Landris, Terrence Winter, and Matthew Weiner. The Sopranos is widely regarded as one of the greatest television series of all time. The series also won a multitude of awards, including Peabody Awards for its first 2 seasons, 21 Primetime Emmy Awards and 5 Golden Globe Awards. A staple of 2000s American popular culture, the series has been the subject of critical analysis, controversy, and parody. It has spawned books, a video game, high-charting soundtrack albums, and a large amount of assorted merchandise. Several members of the show's cast and crew who were previously largely unknown to the public have had successful careers after The Sopranos. In 2013, the Writers Guild of America named The Sopranos the best-written TV series of all time, while TV Guide ranked it the best television series of all time. Conception. Before creating The Sopranos, David Chase had worked as a television producer for more than 20 years. He had been employed as a staff writer, producer for several television series, and had co-created one short-lived original series, Almost Grown, in 1988. He made his television directorial debut in 1986 with the Enough Rope for Two episode of Alfred Hitchcock Presents Revival. He also directed episodes of Almost Grown and I'll Fly Away in 1988 and 1992, respectively. In 1996, he wrote and directed the television film The Rockford Files, Punishment and Crime. He served as showrunner for I'll Fly Away and Northern Exposure in the 1990s. Chase won his first Emmy Award in 1978 for his work on The Rockford Files and his second for writing the 1980 television film Off the Minnesota Strip. By 1996, he was a coveted showrunner. The story of The Sopranos was initially conceived as a feature film about a mobster in therapy, having problems with his mother. After some input from his manager, Lloyd Brown, Chase decided to adapt it into a television series. In 1995, Chase signed a development deal with production company Brillstein Gray and wrote the original pilot script, drawing heavily from his personal life and his experiences growing up in New Jersey. Chase has stated that he tried to apply his own family dynamic to mobsters. For instance, the tumultuous relationship between series protagonist Tony Soprano and his mother, Livia, is partially based on Chase's relationship with his own mother, Chase was also in therapy at the time and modeled the character of Dr. Jennifer Melfi after his own psychiatrist. Chase had been fascinated by organized crime and the mafia from an early age, witnessing such people growing up, and having been raised on classic gangster films like The Public Enemy and the crime series The Untouchables. The series is partly inspired by the Boardo family, a prominent New Jersey organized crime family when Chase was growing up, and partly on New Jersey's DeCavalcante family. Chase has mentioned American playwrights Arthur Miller and Tennessee Williams as influences on his and the show's writing, and Italian director Federico Fellini as an important influence on the show's cinematic style. The series was named after high school friends of his. Like the majority of the characters on the show, Chase is Italian-American. His original family name is D'Souza. Chase and producer Brad Gray, then of Brillstein Gray, pitched The Sopranos to several networks. Fox showed interest, but passed on it after Chase presented them the pilot script. Chase and Gray eventually pitched the show to Chris Albrecht, at the time president of HBO Original Programming, who decided to finance the shooting of a pilot episode. The pilot episode, originally referred to as Pilot, but renamed to The Sopranos on the DVD release, was shot in 1997. Chase directed it himself. After the pilot was finished and shown to the HBO executives, the show was put on hold for several months. During this time, Chase considered asking HBO for additional funding to shoot 45 more minutes of footage and release The Sopranos as a feature film. In December 1997, HBO decided to produce the series and ordered 12 more episodes for a 13-episode season. The show premiered on HBO on January 10, 1999 with the pilot episode. The Sopranos was the second-hour-long television drama series produced by HBO, the first being the prison drama Oz. Baer v. Chase. Robert Baer lost a breach of contract lawsuit he filed against Chase in federal court in Trenton, New Jersey, alleging he helped create the show. But Baer won a ruling that a jury should decide if and how much Baer should be paid for services as a location scout, researcher, and consultant. The gist of Baer's argument, in addition to Chase's own sources and ideas, some characters, settings, and storylines portrayed in The Sopranos were allegedly inspired by tours and conversations the series creator had with Tony Spirito, Thomas Coxor, and people Spirito and Coxor introduced Chase to, in addition to communications and input provided by Baer. Who'd introduced Chase to Spirito and Coxor in the first place. Casting. Like the characters they portray on the show, many of the actors on The Sopranos are Italian-American. Many cast members had appeared together in films and television series before joining the cast of The Sopranos. The series shares a total of 27 actors with the 1990 Martin Scorsese gangster film, Goodfellas, including main cast members Lorraine Bracco, Michael Imperioli, and Tony Sirico. And Tony Sirico visited with a member of the U.S. Air Force during a USO visit to Southwest Asia. The main cast was put together through a process of auditions and readings. Actors often did not know whether Chase liked their performances or not. Michael Imperioli, who beat out several actors for the part of Christopher Maltese and T. recalls, "He's got a poker face, so I thought he wasn't into me, and he kept giving me notes and having me try it again, which often is a sign that you're not doing it right. I thought, I'm not getting this, so he said, thank you, and I left. I didn't expect to hear back. and then they called. Chase also said he wanted them periodically, because he had been in Goodfellas. James Gandolfini was invited to audition for the part of Tony Soprano after casting director Susan Fitzgerald saw a short clip of his performance in the 1993 film True Romance. Lorraine Bracco, who had played the role of mob wife Karen Hill in Goodfellas, was originally asked to play the role of Carmela Soprano. She took the role of Dr. Jennifer Melfi instead, because she wanted to try something different and felt the part of the highly educated Dr. Melfi would be more of a challenge for her. Tony Sirico, who has a criminal background, signed on to play Paulie Walnuts as long as his character was not to be a rat. Chase invited musician Little Steven Van Zandt to audition for a part in his series after seeing him live at the 1997 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony, and being impressed with his appearance and presence. Van Zandt, who had never acted before, originally auditioned for the role of Tony Soprano, but felt the role should go to an experienced actor. Van Zandt eventually agreed to star on the show as mob consigliere Silvio Dante, and his real-life spouse Maureen was cast as his on-screen wife, Gabriella. With the exception of Oscar nominee Bracco, Dominic Chianese and Emmy winner Nancy Marchand, the cast of the debut season of the series consisted of largely unknown actors. After the breakthrough success of the show, many cast members were noted for their acting ability and received mainstream attention for their performances. Subsequent seasons saw some established actors join the starring cast along with well-known actors in recurring roles such as Peter Bogdanovich, John Hurd, Robert Patrick, Peter Riegert, Annabella Sciorra, and David Strathairn. Several well-known actors appeared in just one or two episodes, such as Lauren Bacall, Daniel Baldwin, Annette Bening, Polly Bergen, Sandra Bernard, Charles S. Dutton, Jon Favreau, Janine Garofalo, Hal Holbrook, Tim Kang, Elias Koteas, Ben Kingsley, Linda Lavin, Ken Leung, Juliana Margulies, Sidney Pollack, Wilma Valderrama, Alicia Witt and Burt Young. Crew. Series creator and executive producer David Chase served as showrunner and head writer for the production of all 6 seasons of the show. He was deeply involved with the general production of every episode and is noted for being a very controlling, demanding, and specific producer. In addition to writing or co-writing 2 to 7 episodes per season, Chase would oversee all the editing, consult with episode directors, give actors character motivation, approve casting choices and set designs, and do extensive but uncredited rewrites of episodes written by other writers. Brad Gray served as executive producer alongside Chase, but had no creative input on the show. Many members of the creative team behind The Sopranos were handpicked by Chase, some being old friends and colleagues of his, others were selected after interviews conducted by producers of the show. Many of the show's writers worked in television prior to joining the writing staff of The Sopranos. Writing team and married couple Robin Green and Mitchell Burgess, who worked on the series as writers and producers from the first to the 5th season, had previously worked with Chase on Northern Exposure. Terrence Winter, who joined the writing staff during the production of the 2nd season, and served as executive producer from season 5 onwards, practiced law for 2 years before deciding to pursue a career as a screenwriter. He eventually caught the attention of Chase through writer Frank Renzulli. Matthew Weiner, who served as staff writer and producer for the show's 5th and 6th seasons, wrote a spec script for the series Mad Men in 2000. The script was passed on to Chase, who, after reading it, was so impressed that he immediately offered Weiner a job as a writer for The Sopranos. Cast members Michael Imperioli and Tony Kalem, who portray Christopher Maltese and Angie Bonpensiero, respectively, also wrote episodes for the show. Imperioli wrote 5 episodes of seasons 2 through 5, and Kalem wrote 1 episode of season 5. Other writers the show employed throughout its run include Frank Renzulli, Todd A. Kessler, writing team Diane Frolov and Andrew Schneider, and Lawrence Connor, who co-created Almost Grown with Chase in 1988. In total, 20 writers or writing teams are credited with writing episodes of The Sopranos. Of these, 2 receive a single story credit, and 8 are credited with writing a sole episode. The most prolific writers of the series were Chase, Winter, Green and Burgess, Weiner, and Renzulli. Before directing The Sopranos, many of the directors had worked on other television series and in independent films. The most frequent directors of the series were Tim Van Patten, John Patterson, Alan Coulter, and Alan Taylor, all of whom have a background in television. Recurring cast members Steve Buscemi and Peter Bogdanovich also directed episodes of the series intermittently. Chase directed 2 episodes himself, the pilot episode and the series finale. Both episodes were photographed by the show's original director of photography, Alex Sakharov. He later alternated episodes with Phil Abraham. The show's photography and directing is noted for its feature film quality. This look was achieved by Chase collaborating with Sakharov. David wanted a look that would have its own 2 feet from the pilot. We would sit down with the whole script and break the scenes down in 2 shots. That's what you do with feature films. Music. The Sopranos is noted for its eclectic music selections, and has received considerable critical attention for its effective use of previously recorded songs. Chase personally selected all of the show's music with producer Martin Broissel and music editor Catherine Dyack, sometimes also consulting Steven Van Zandt. The music was usually selected once the production and editing of an episode was completed, but on occasion sequences were filmed to match pre-selected pieces of music. The show's opening theme is "Woke Up This Morning", written by, remixed and performed by British band Alabama 3. With few exceptions, a different song plays over the closing credits of each episode. Many songs are repeated multiple times through an episode, such as "Living on a Thin Line" by the Kinks in the Season 3 episode "University" and "Glad Tidings" by Van Morrison in the Season 5 finale, "All Due Respect". Other songs are heard several times throughout the series. A notable example is "Con Ti Partirò", performed by Italian singer Andrea Bocelli, which plays several times in relation to the character of Carmela Soprano. While the show utilizes a wealth of previously recorded music, it is also notable for its lack of originally composed incidental music, compared to other television programs. 2 soundtrack albums containing music from the series have been released. The first, titled The Sopranos, music from the HBO original series, was released in 1999. It contains selections from the show's first 2 seasons and reached 4 on the US Billboard 200. A second soundtrack compilation, titled The Sopranos Peppers and Eggs, music from the HBO series, was released in 2001. This double-disc album contains songs and selected dialogue from the show's first 3 seasons. It reached 8 on the US Billboard 200. Sets and locations. The majority of the exterior scenes taking place in New Jersey were filmed on location, with the majority of the interior shots, including most indoor shots of the Soprano residence, the back room of the strip club Bada Bing, and Dr. Melfi's psychiatrist's office, filmed at Silver Cup Studios in New York City. The pork store, a frequent hangout for the mobsters on the show, was in the pilot episode known as Sentanis Meat Market, an actual butchery in Elizabeth, New Jersey. After the series was picked up by HBO, the producers leased a building with a storefront in Kearney, New Jersey. For the remainder of the production period, this building served as the shooting location for scenes outside and inside the pork store, now renamed Satriale's. After the series ended, the building was demolished. Bada Bing, a strip club owned and operated by the character Silvio Dante on the show, is an actual strip club on Route 17 in Lodi, New Jersey. Exteriors and interiors were shot on location. The club is called Satin Dolls, and was an existing business before the show started. The club continued to operate during the 8 years the show was filmed there. As such, a business arrangement was worked out with the owner. Locations manager Mark Amin recalls that the owner was very gracious as long as the shooting did not conflict with his business time. Scenes set at the restaurant Vesuvio, owned and operated in the series by character Artie Bucco, were in the first episode filmed at a restaurant called Manilo's located in Elizabeth. After the destruction of Vesuvio within the context of the series, Artie opened a new restaurant called Nuovo Vesuvio. Exterior scenes set there were filmed at an Italian restaurant called Punta Dura located in Long Island City. All the exterior and some interior shots of the Soprano residence were filmed on location at a private residence in North Caldwell, New Jersey. Title sequence. Tony Soprano is seen emerging from the Lincoln Tunnel and passes through the toll booth for the New Jersey Turnpike. Numerous landmarks in and around Newark and Elizabeth, New Jersey, are then shown passing by the camera as Tony drives down the highway. The sequence ends with Tony pulling into the driveway of his suburban home. Chase has said that the goal of the title sequence was to show that this particular mafia show was about New Jersey, as opposed to New York, where most similar dramas have been set. In the first 3 seasons, between Tony leaving the tunnel and entering the turnpike, an image of the World Trade Center towers is visible in his side rear view mirror. After the September 11, 2001 attacks, this shot was removed beginning with the show's 4th season. In a 2010 issue of TV Guide, the show's opening title sequence ranked 0 on a list of TV's top 10 credits sequences, as selected by readers. Cast and characters. The Sopranos features a large cast of characters, many of whom get significant amounts of character development, regardless of level of importance. Some only appear in certain seasons, while others appear throughout the entire series. All characters were created by David Chase, unless otherwise noted. Tony Soprano is the series' protagonist. Tony is one of the capos of the New Jersey-based Dimeo crime family. At the beginning of the series, he eventually becomes its undisputed boss. He is also the patriarch of the Soprano household. Throughout the series, Tony struggles to balance the conflicting requirements of his family wife Carmela, daughter Meadow, son AJ, and mother Livia with those of the mafia family he controls. Because he is prone to bouts of clinical depression, after a fainting spell, Tony's physician refers him for treatment from psychiatrist Dr. Jennifer Melfi. In the show's first episode, she treats Tony to the best of her ability despite the fact that they routinely clash over various issues. Melfi is usually thoughtful, rational and humane, a stark contrast to Tony's personality. Tony a serial womanizer, occasionally divulges his sexual attraction to Dr. Melfi. Melfi harbors some degree of attraction to Tony, too, but never admits or acts on it. Melfi is far more attracted to Tony's dangerousness and power. She is drawn to the challenge of helping such an unusual client, and naively assumes that their doctor-patient relationship will not affect her personal life in any way. Adding to Tony's complicated life is his relationship with his wife Carmela, which is strained by his constant infidelity and her struggle to reconcile the reality of Tony's business with the affluent lifestyle and higher social status it brings her. Both have up-and-down relationships with their 2 children, the intelligent but rebellious Meadow, and underachiever AJ, whose everyday teenage issues are further complicated by their eventual knowledge of their father's criminal activities and reputation. The starring cast includes members of Tony's extended family, including his disapproving, manipulative mother, Livia Soprano, his aimless, histrionic older sister, Janice, his paternal uncle Corrado, Jr., Soprano, nominal boss of the crime family following the death of then acting boss Jackie Aprile, Sr., cousin Tony Blundertoe, and Christopher Maltese, often referred to as Tony's nephew. Both Livia and Janice are scheming, treacherous, shrewd manipulators with major yet unaddressed psychological issues of their own. The single-mindedly ambitious Uncle Jr. is chronically frustrated by having not been made boss of the Dimeo family, despite old-school mob traditions entitling him to the position by virtue of seniority. He feels his authority is perpetually undermined by Tony's greater influence in the organization, and barely contains his seething jealousy at having to watch both his younger brother and now Tony himself leapfrog him in the organization. As their professional tensions escalate, Uncle Jr. employs increasingly desperate, behind-the-scenes measures to solve his problems with Tony, who still idolizes his uncle, and wants to retain Jr.'s affection and approval. Uncle Jr. and Christopher are fixtures in Tony's real family, as well as his crime family, so their actions in one realm often create further conflicts in the other. Christopher, an entitled, insecure Dimeo associate who is as ambitious as he is insubordinate and incompetent, is also a chronic substance abuser. Tony Blundertoe is a well-respected Dimeo family soldier who returns after completing a lengthy prison sentence. He leaves prison committed to going straight, but also has an intense violent streak. Tony's close circle within the Dimeo crime family includes Silvio Dante, who runs the family's strip club headquarters, and other businesses. Paulie Walnut Gualtieri, a tough, short-tempered, aging soldier who is fiercely loyal to Tony, and Salvatore Big Pussy Bonpensiero, a veteran gangster who runs an automotive body shop. Silvio is Tony's consigliere and best friend. Paulie Walnut and Big Pussy have worked with Tony and his father. Also in Tony's criminal organization are Patsy Parisi and Furio Junta. Patsy is a soft-spoken soldier with a head for figures. Furio, an Italian national who joins the family later in the series, serves as Tony's violent enforcer and bodyguard. Other significant characters in the Dimeo family include Bobby Bacala Baglieri, Richie Aprile, Ralph Safarito, Eugene Pontecorvo, and Vito Spatafore. Bobby is a subordinate of Uncle Jr.'s whom Tony initially bullies, but later accepts into his inner circle. Ralph is a clever, ambitious top earner, but his arrogant, obnoxious, disrespectful, and unpredictably violent tendencies turn Tony resentful. Richie Aprile is released from prison in Season 2, and quickly makes waves. Pontecorvo is a young soldier who becomes a made man alongside Christopher. Spatafore works his way up through the ranks to become top earner of the Aprile crew, but is secretly homosexual. Friends of the Soprano family include Herman Hesh Rakin, Adriana La Cerva, Rosalie Aprile, Angie Bonpensiero, along with Artie and Charmaine Bucco. Hesh is an invaluable advisor and friend to Tony, as he was when Tony's father ran things. Adriana is Christopher's loyal and long-suffering girlfriend. The two have a volatile relationship, but appear destined to stay together. Christopher often ignores Adriana's advice, and winds up regretting it. Rosalie is the widow of previous Demio boss Jackie Aprile, Sr., and a very close friend of Carmela. Angie is Salvatore Bonpensiero's wife. She later goes into business for herself, and quite successfully. Artie and Charmaine are childhood friends of the Sopranos, and owners of the popular restaurant Vesuvio. Charmaine wishes to have no association with Tony and his crew due to fears that Tony's criminal ways will ultimately ruin everything she and Artie have achieved. Artie, however, a law-abiding, hard-working man, is drawn to his childhood friend Tony's glamorous, seemingly carefree lifestyle. Charmaine bitterly resents Artie's chronic tendency to disregard her wishes while catering to Tony's. Their marriage suffers greatly as a result. Charmaine also had a brief sexual encounter with Tony when all four were teenagers. Johnny Sack, Sacramone, Phil Leotardo, and Little Carmine Lupitazzi, Jr. are all significant characters from the New York City-based Lupitazzi crime family, which shares a good amount of its business with the Soprano organization. Although the Lupitazzis and Dimio's interests are often at odds, Tony maintains a cordial, business-like relationship with Johnny Sack, preferring to make mutually beneficial deals, not war. Johnny Sack's second-in-command and eventual successor, Phil Leotardo, is less friendly and harder for Tony to do business with. Little Carmine is the son of the family's first boss, and vies for power with its other members. Thank you for watching. Brought to you by WikiVidi Documentaries. Please like and subscribe below. Please like and subscribe below.